before you watch this video, I just wanted to give you guys kind of a preview of what this covers since it's so long, so you can decide whether you want to watch it or not. So this whole video, I take somebody else's artwork and their character, and you can see right here the layers. They're organized really well, but I first start off the video by going and changing them, color coding them, and putting them in the correct order that I'm going to use them for. And then the color codes I actually use to color my bones as well. So it makes it really easy to see what you're animating. So that's the first part of the video. And the second part of the video is doing joint references. It's very similar to some of the other things I've done. I show you how to make joints with the grid, but in this video I show you how to take artwork that's already been made, and so you take, this is the original character. When I first put bones in it, the elbows and all the joints they look disconnected like this, and I show you how to use these little circles with targets in them, little crosses in them, to make them bend like this and look a little bit better. And I do the same thing with the legs and the heels, just so you can get your legs to bend correctly. You can notice this front leg, when you bend it upward, it stays with the contour of the waist and turns really easy, so you can do a sitting position really fast. So that's what the whole video is about. I know it's about an hour and I don't know how long, but just wanted to put this little clip on in front so you guys know what you're watching. But yeah, if you make it through the whole video, thank you very much. And I'll see you guys next time. What's up, ladies and gentlemen? Today I'm going to show you how I rig someone else's character, and I'm going to show you how I organize things, how I rig the character with the skeleton, the bones, I should say, and show you how I use joint references. It's kind of a hybrid of things I've done in the past and things I've seen other animators do using Anime Studio and MOHO and Flash. So today I got my man Saquon Perry's character, and this is called Dad, and this is what he sent me, and it's pretty well organized, but I'm going to organize it just a little bit better for me as far as rigging the character. So the first thing I'm going to do is I'm going to right click his main folder and convert it to a bone layer, because we're going to rig it with bones. And then he's got mouths and brows and glasses, so these are all head pieces. So I actually like putting all the head parts into one layer, so I'm going to do another bone layer and drop it inside of the dad bone, or the main bone layer, and I'll double click that. I'll rename it head, and then I'll go ahead and hold shift down, and I'll select the mouth, the brow, the glasses, the nose, the eyes, and the head, and I'll go ahead and left click and drag those into the head bone group that I just created, and go ahead and collapse that, so they're all the head pieces are in one group. And now what I'm going to do is just do a little bit of color coding. This is going to make it a lot easier for me to know which parts of the character I'm rigging. So I'm going to rename parts of his character. I'm going to use my scroll wheel to zoom in and out, and spacebar to pan the screen around and see what I'm doing. And I can see when I select this first layer, it says arm 1 part 2. I'm just going to double click it and rename it front lower arm. That's a lot easier for me to read it and see what it is. And so I'll click on the next one, and I can see what's highlighted is the top upper arm, so I'll rename that front upper arm. And then the hands, they're in a switch layer group, so I'll go ahead and double click that and just call this front hands. And while I'm doing this, I'm going to go ahead and hold shift down and select all the front arm parts. So the front arm, the lower arm, and upper arm, and the hands. So I have all three of those selected. I'll click on this little arrow here, and I'm going to color code it to red. And I'll say apply. So that just changed all of those layers to red. That way I know they're kind of grouped somewhat together. Then he has the butt, which is the waist. So I'm going to rename it waist. And then I'll click the next layer. And I can see, again, using my scroll wheel to zoom in and out and holding spacebar and left click to pan. This is the front lower leg. So I'll double click that, call it front lower leg. Click on the next layer, double click it, rename it front, oops, make sure I have that selected, front upper leg. And this seems to be an extra layer, so I'll go ahead and delete that because that doesn't look like it's anything. And then I'll double click the foot, rename it front foot, and I'll go ahead and color code these as well. Hold shift down, select all those front leg parts, click on this little arrow, we'll color purple and apply. That colors all of those. And then the body we'll just leave as the body. Now let's go to the next one. I can see that that's the lower back arm. So lower back arm. The next layer is the upper back leg. Double click that, upper back leg. And you can see that the layer ordering is a little off, so we'll fix that here in a second. Click this one. This is the back lower leg. I need to call this back upper leg. I'm trying to keep this as organized as possible. And hands, we'll just call this back hands. Double click it, type in back hands. Click this one. This is the back upper arm. And then the neck, we'll leave that like that. And then this one is the back foot. So I'll double click it, type in back foot. So the way the character is in a 3/4 position, so we want to make sure that everything's ordered correctly in the layers. So the front arm is going to be the very top layers, because we want to make sure that it's above the head and the body, appears above the head and the body when we animate. And then let's do the center part, so the head, neck, and body. So let's go ahead and move the body up above the waist, and then the neck we'll put up there just under the body. And let's go ahead and color code these as well. So I'll click on the body, I'll hold shift down, select all of those layers, and then we'll go ahead and click blue and apply. So that colors all of the layers. Then let's see, so we have the body, then we have the front lower leg. Let's see, do we want that? We need to make sure that should be okay. Let's do the front layer. Let's do the arm next. So let's move the back hands and the back upper arm and lower arm together. Let's go ahead and color code those. Select the layer, hold shift, select all of those, and we'll go ahead and choose the next color, green, and apply. And then the very back is going to be the back leg. So back upper leg, lower leg, and back foot. We'll select all of those, holding shift down, and then we'll color these orange. Doesn't matter what color, I just want to make sure that I'm having the groups kind of the same. So and you'll see why when I make the skeleton. or rig it. So we have all of our layers color coded, which makes it nice and organized. Now we're gonna click on, well, let's color the head layer to red, just because everything, that's everything in the center of the body. So we'll go to the dad layer, which is a bone layer, and we're gonna start rigging it. So I'm gonna hit on frame 0, hit A, and this is add bones, and the first one, oops, before I do that, you can see right here the back arm should be behind the back leg, so I need to actually move those, the lower, oops, let's rename that, back lower arm. So take the back lower arm, back upper arm, and back hands and put those in the very back. I lied, they should be at the very bottom. Oops, I actually dragged it out of the dad group, that's why it moved. So let me grab those and drag them over. There they go, now they're snapped back in there. Now his hands are behind the body and the legs. Okay, back to the rigging. We'll go back to the main bone group, and we'll hit A or click on this button, which is add bones, and we're going to draw a waist bone. So we're just going to draw from the center of the torso or the crotch region, and I'm just going to draw it to the side. And with that bone activated, it's still red, we're going to go ahead and draw upwards. We're going to draw a bone up to the stomach, to the about the center of his chest. Then we'll draw another bone up to the neck, and I'm drawing it a little bit over to the side, and then I want the neck to bend here, and then I'm also going to draw one more bone for the head tilt. So let's put the head tilt right here, and we can always change this later. Now I'm going to hit B and select the center chest bone or torso bone, and I'm doing this so I can link this to the arms. So I'm going to start, I'll hit A, add another bone, and I'm going to start at the shoulder joint, go down to the elbow, down to the wrist, and then over the hand. Then I'm going to do the same thing for the other side. I'll hit B, select the chest bone. Let's go ahead and hide the body for a second so we can see the arm a little better. And hide the head too. So with this bone selected, we'll go ahead and hit A. Start from the shoulder, where you think it's about to turn, go down to the elbow, to the wrist, and over the hand. Alright, and we'll just reveal the character again. Now we need to do the legs, so I'm going to hit B, and this time we're going to draw from the waist. So I'll click on the waist bone, hit A, or click on add bones, and the hip joint should be right around here for this leg. We'll draw where the knee is or close to it, down to the ankle. Then we're going to draw two bones for the feet. We'll draw one towards the toes, and then another bone just for the toe or toes. And I'll hold spacebar, move back up here, hit B, select the waist bone again, and for the back leg we'll hit A or add bones, and the waist pivot should be, or joint should be right about here. Draw to the knee, down to the ankle, and draw one bone for the back of the foot, and then another one for the front. And since we're going to use point binding, I'm going to do a Command A, and that's going to select all of the bones. I'll select the bone strength, and I'm just going to turn those down because we're not going to use any flexi binding or anything like that. And then also, just so it's again really organized, we're going to go ahead and color code these bones to match or correspond with the layers that we have. So I'll hit B. I'll go ahead and drag over the arm bones in the front. I missed one, so I'll hold shift and select all of those, or the hand bone, and the front arm and hands are red, so I'll go up here and color those red so we know what bones control what layers. And oops, let's go ahead and select here, hit B, select the waist bone and the chest bones and the head bones, and we've colored those all blue. Blue, except for the head. Let's do actually, yeah, let's change the color of the head to blue, just so we know that that bone is those bones are controlling the head, like that. So we should actually drag this head bone or head group down here, like that. So the front arm's the very top. And let's go ahead and hit B. Select all of the bones on the, oops, gotta be on the bone layer. There we go. Those back arm bones are green. So we'll change those to green. And let's go ahead and hit B. Select the front leg bones. And those are purple, so I'll change that to purple. And then hit B, select the back legs. Back leg bones. And those are orange. So again, the reason I'm just coloring these bones is just so I know what layers are being controlled by what bones. Just makes it a lot easier to understand or figure out when you're animating. Now we need to rig them. So we're gonna just start from the top to the bottom, and I'll click on the very first layer, which is the front lower arm. And you can see it highlights all the points. So what we're gonna do is hit B. Select the bone, and it turns red. Then we'll do a Command A, and that selects all of the points on that layer, and we'll hit bind points, bind points. Then we'll go to the next layer, which is the upper arm. You can see the points have been highlighted, and do the same thing. Hit B, select the bone, it turns red. Command A selects all of the points, and we'll bind the points and bind points. Now the hands are in a switch layer. So instead of binding points, we're going to bind that whole folder to this bone. So we'll select the folder, which is a switch layer, and we'll select this tool right here, which is bind layer, and click on this bone once, and it'll turn bright red. And that just means that it's been bound to that bone. So to test that, we can go back to the bone layer, the main bone layer, and hit Z, and you can see the hand is connected, and the upper arm and lower arm. And don't worry about the joints. I'm going to show you that after we have it rigged, how to make these joints look good and not broken. So now we're going to go to the next layer, which is the head, and the head layer is actually a group. So we're going to use that bind layer tool again. So with the head selected, we'll hit bind layer, and we want to bind all the head parts to this bone. This is the head pivot bone. And then we'll go to the next one, which is the body. And the neck's underneath the body just because, well, let's see, can we move it up? Yeah, we need to leave the neck underneath the body because of the artwork. But we'll go to the body next. So what we're going to do now is we're going to select this bottom bone that's near the belly, and we're going to do a Command A, and we're selecting all of the points, even though we're going to bind some different points for the chest. I just do this because I want to make sure every point has been bound at some point. So we'll bind everything to this one, and now I'm going to go to the upper chest bone, select it by hitting B and then clicking on it, And now I'm going to hit G, and I'm going to draw a box over the top part of the body. And make sure that I get all of the points on the top part. And this is actually just going to override what we did. It's now this bone is going to control these points instead. Like that. And then I'm going to select B and select this top bone, and this will be the neck. So we'll go ahead and go to the next layer and select. Actually, I'm going to select the chest bone because I want the bottom part of the neck, these points right here, to be controlled by this chest bone. So we'll bind points, hit B, select the top bone, hit G, and we'll grab the top points of the neck and bind. Again, we can go ahead and check. So I'll hit the main bone layer, hit Z, and we can see that moves the neck. This tilts the head, and we're gonna fix the neck here too. We can adjust where that pivots, and this grabs the top part of the body, and this is the lower part. Alright, so now let's go to the next layers, which are, oh, we got to do the waist. So we'll just click B, select the waist bone, hit Command A, that selects all of the points, bind points. Now we're going to do the front lower leg, and I'll hit B, select the bone, Command A, selects all the points, bind. Same thing for the upper leg. Hit B, select the bone, Command A, bind. Front foot, we'll go ahead and hit B, select the first bone for the foot, and I can do a Command A. Again, I'm doing this just so I make sure every single point has been bound to something. And I'll bind the points, and then I'll hit B, select the toe bone, I'll hit G, so I can just grab the points that I want to bend with it. We'll go about there, and this will override, and hit bind points. So again, let's go ahead and test this. We can go back to the main bone layer, hit Z, that leg is bound. This bone controls the foot, and we can actually wiggle the toe as well. And now let's go to the next one, is the back upper leg. Again, it's just the same process. Hit B, select the bone, Command A. It grabs all of those points, bind. Back lower leg, hit B, select the bone. And just to show you another way of doing things, if you don't want to hit Command A to select all the points, you can also hit G and just drag a box across the layer to grab all the points. It's just a way of, what do you call it? You know, fine tuning, or just grabbing just the points you want. But Command A and bind points is the way I usually do it. So back foot, same as the front. Hit B, select this first bone, Command A, so I grab all the points, bind. Hit B, grab the toe bone, or click on it and hit G, so we can grab the front of the toe, or front of the shoe, and then go ahead and bind that. Then we just have the back arm to do, so I'll hit B, select the bone, turns red, Command A, bind. Upper arm, hit B, select the bone, Command A, bind. And then the hands again are switch layers. So instead of point binding, we'll click on that layer, use the bind layer tool, and click on the hand one time, and it is bound. So we'll go back and check everything. So we have the main bone layer. You can grab the legs, And they are all connected correctly. The arms are connected. And the body is connected. So now we're ready to kind of fine-tune and fix these joints. And this is the main part of the video. Not the main part, but this is something that you really want to use. So I've made some videos about joints, and I use the grid to create my joints for my characters. But in this case, you know, the artwork's already been done. So we're going to use a technique that combines some of the stuff that I have done, some of the things that other animators have used on Anime Studio, MOHO, and Flash. I think Eric from Square Bear has covered something really similar to this as far as making a nice joint. But I kind of came up with just something that's a little bit different, which is a joint reference layer. And all that is, I'm going to frame 0. I'll create a new layer, and I'll call this joint reference. And I'm going to select circle, create shape by hitting S or clicking on this tool. Create a circle. Let me zoom in here. And I'm going to draw a circle, and I'm holding shift down so I make sure it's a perfect circle, because if you don't, it's going to turn into an oval. We want to hold shift down so it's perfectly round. I'll hit Q. I'm going to select the color and the fill, and I'm going to use green for the fill, and then hold shift down and select red for the stroke, and turn the stroke way down like that. Then I'm also going to click on the fill and make it see-through by changing the alpha channel. So I'll just click over here, make it see-through, hit OK, do the same for the stroke so it's kind of see-through. And I'm going to zoom in here with my mouse wheel. I'll hit A to add a new point, and I'm going to draw a line across the circle, and I'll hit U. So we want to create a new shape, and I just want the stroke to be filled, and I'll hit create shape. That creates the line going across, and I'm zooming in, and what I'm trying to do is line up oops, I don't want to move that point. I want to grab the line and line this up so it intersects with the points on the circle. You can see it's kind of cuts right through center. And then I'll go ahead and do a Command C, Command V to copy and paste. I'm going to rotate it by grabbing the inner box, and we'll move that into place so we get this nice kind of target. And we'll line that up in the center. So this is my joint reference, and I'm going to use a bunch of these. So the first one I will do is this elbow joint. So I'm going to hit G, grab this. Oh, actually, let's make sure it's inside the main bone layer for this character. I'll put this on the very top. And where did it go? Let's move it into place. So I'm going to shrink this down. So what I'm going to do, the reason why I made the little kind of crosshairs is I want to line up the very center of this circle to the elbow joint. So I'm going to place this right here in the center, and then I want to kind of expand this circle holding shift down so it stays a circle, and oh no, I'm sorry, just Option. Hold Option down so it expands from the center. And let's see. Actually, let's move this out of the way first. Let's go to the bone layer. I'm going to grab the end of this bone, and I'm going to try and put it kind of where I think the joint should be. Kind of in the center. I'll go ahead and grab the end of this one and snap it to the end there. Let's go ahead and move this down. This character has a watch, which is nice because it kind of shows you where the pivot or the joint should be. So I move that into place. Now I'm going to go to the joint reference, hit T, move this. Like I said, we're using the crosshair and lining that up to the center right there, and holding Option down I can expand or contract it from that center. It's moving off a little bit, but I'm just expanding it to where the artwork is, about like that. Let's make sure it's centered again. So right about there. So now I'm just going to take the artwork. I'll go ahead and click on the front lower arm, and I'm going to adjust these points. I'll hit T. I'm going to grab this point and just delete it, and this one too. Delete that. So we only need 3 points. So we need to hit T, move this point right here on the part of the crosshair on the circle. We'll do the same for this side. Move it to the right and kind of center that kind of in the square. And then we'll grab the center one, and we'll just put this in the center of the crosshair. We don't have to put it all the way up here. Or actually, I will just for this, just for a second so I can show you. I'm going to go ahead and hit C and curve this out. And then I'll grab the front upper arm and do the same thing. We're going to line up the 3 points. So I'll hit T, make sure I grab this and put it right there. Grab this one, put that right there. Let's move the elbow a little bit. And then this point we're going to go down to the bottom. Put it on that intersection. Hit C to curve it out. We're going to curve it to the circle, to the joint reference, like that, as best as we can. Like that. Try and adjust this just a little bit. There we go. So now if I go to the main bone layer and move this, so the reason I didn't want to put the pull the artwork all the way up to the top of the joint reference right here, as you can see, it has a nice joint there, but we want the artwork to kind of overlap. So I'm going to hit T. I'll grab that. I'm going to keep it in the center, but I'm just moving it down so it's kind of out of the way. It's not intersecting with the sleeve or anything like that. I'm just moving it straight down. And now if I hit, go to the main bone layer and hit Z, now we've got a really nice joint right there. So I'm going to continue to do this with the rest of the body and the legs. Okay, so I'm going to go ahead and go to the joint reference layer. And I'm going to go ahead and hit G and select that circle with the target on it, or the crosshairs. And I'm going to do a Command C and a Command V, and I'm just going to copy and paste. And I'll put one over here for this elbow. I'll hit Command V to paste again. Move this one down here. And I'll put it where the knee joint is, or around it. And do a Command V again and paste. And I'm just I'm going to use them in all the joints, and Command V, paste. I'm going to put one here at the hips, and I'll go ahead and hold down Option and expand that. And the reason why I'm doing this is because I want the legs to be able to always look connected as well. So I'm trying to find a good place to put the hips. And I think I'll go ahead and expand that a little bit more, just so it gets to the edge of the legs. I'll copy and paste that one and put this over here. And maybe put it up a little bit. This leg is actually looking a little bit skinnier than the other one, so we'll shrink this down. Kind of find the area where it's going to be. And start fixing these joints. So let's go to this leg, the front leg. front leg. And it's actually, yeah, we'll keep it right there. Go to the joint reference. I'm going to grab that and kind of move it to where we had set our bones already. And expand that, holding Option again to expand from the center. And let's make sure the crosshairs intersect with where the bones meet. Right about there. And keep expanding just a little bit. Okay, and now we'll go into the artwork. We'll go to the lower leg, and let's go ahead and grab a point here. We're going to move it onto our circle, our joint reference, and we'll move this one down. And we'll move this kind of in the center. Then we'll grab the upper part of the leg, and let's go ahead and just move some of these points. And I'll bring this point down. I'll hit C to curve it out. Click on just this point and delete it. Move this one into position here. And kind of make sure it lines up with the joint reference, the circle. And I'll go to the bone layer and bend it just so we can kind of see if it looks good. That looks pretty close to being good. See how there's a little bit of extra right here. Let's go down to the upper leg and just pull this up a little bit like that. And I'll check it again real quick. It looks pretty good. Now, the reason why I made these, again, this joint reference up here is where the hip should be. So actually, let's make it a little bit smaller. So I'm going to select the circle. I'm hitting T, and I'm just grabbing the crosshairs also. And holding Shift down and clicking on them so I can move them. I'm going to move this up. It's kind of like, honestly, what you want to do is imagine these are your character's butt cheeks. Just because, you know, you're going to have, the waist is going to be covering your, the whole bottom of your torso. So I'm kind of moving these to where I think the torso would end. So we'll put them right there. And then what I'm going to do is I'm going to go to the waist. And I'm going to expand out the waist. If I turn off the top part of the legs here, you can see that the waist kind of cuts off way up here. And we want to bring it down and fit into our joint reference. So I'm going to move this point here. I'll bring this point all the way down here, bottom butt cheek. And I'm going to move this here. And let's curve this out. And I'm going to move this down. And we may have to see how the line where the crotch is. We might have to do some adjusting for that too. But I'm going to bring this all the way down. And you can see I'm kind of trying to keep inside the joint reference circles. So I'm kind of moving the artwork around like this. And, oops. Let's see. I added a point here, so I'm trying to just keep this here like that. And then we'll keep testing it to see how it looks. So his... See, I want to make sure that it looks like you can see his butt when his leg is forward. And it looks fairly decent like that. Let's go ahead and select the waist. I'm going to turn the line back on. Let me hide the upper leg. And turn that on. Okay. And let's put the waist underneath. Like that. And so the leg, upper leg is on top. I'm going to move these points. For the upper part, we'll move it into our joint reference. And I'll use the hide edge tool, so I'll hide the top. Like that. I can probably bring this down. Like that. And let's test this again. Okay, it looks kind of okay until this part right here. Let's fix that. So, let's see. Let's go back to the waist. And I think I'm going to go into the timeline a little bit and go to the bone layer. I'm going to rotate my leg forward. And that's a little too high. You know what? Let's move the bone. So we're going to move the pivot point of the bone to down here. But then we have to readjust, and we have to make sure that we put the end of the bone right here in our joint reference. Snap that to there. And that way it pivots at a slightly different angle. So let's see. No, I need to put... Actually, I'm going to put that right on the center of the joint. That's where it needs to be. So we'll go ahead and hit T. I'm going to grab that bone. I'm going to move this down to here and put the end of the bone right at the joint reference. And then I'll grab this point, move it there so it's in the target area. Snap that. And now let's try that out and see. There we go. That's a lot better. I kind of messed up. I should have been putting that bone... That's the first thing I should have done, is to move this bone. But it's still a little bit off when we rotate it. You know, there's this kind of gap here, and an easy way to fix that is go into your timeline. I'm going to move the leg up, and I'll go to the waist, and I'm just going to adjust the artwork here so that looks a little better like that. And you can see it created a keyframe in our timeline. We're going to select those, hit Command X, which is going to copy and cut it, and then we'll go to frame 0 and paste. And that just moves those points to where they need to be. So now if we test it out, we have a nicer transition right there with the leg. His pocket, though, let's see, how should we deal with the pocket? Let's go for the upper leg, or that's on the waist actually, so let's go ahead and I'm going to select this pocket line. I'll hit T, hold shift down and grab both of those. I'm going to hit Command X to cut them, and then we'll go ahead and select the front upper leg and hit paste. So they get pasted in the same place, but when we rotate that, I think we'll just leave that there for now. We can use a smart bone action to move the pocket, but I'm just going to leave that there for now just because it looks better. And we'll fix that as we go. Let's see, the foot, that's pretty good already. But we can, let's go ahead and make sure that no matter what angle you turn it at, it looks okay. We'll go ahead and go to the joint reference. I'll go ahead and grab any one of these. So I'll hit T or G. I'll select the circle of one of them. Then I'll hold Shift down, grab the crosshairs by clicking on the lines. Command C, Command V to copy paste. I'll move that down here to this point where the foot is. Let's put the target right about there. And then I'll go to the bone layer, hit T. We'll grab this point, move that into position right in the crosshairs. Move this bone up, snap it to that bone. And now we'll go into the artwork and change the front foot a little bit. Let's go in here and line up some points. So we'll put this here. And I'll keep moving the points on the shoe and the foot. I'm gonna move these down a little bit. And we don't have to adjust the pant legs, the end of the pants, just because they're wrinkled and they're covering up the foot in the shoe anyway. So I'm just kind of doing just the shoe. Okay, I'll go back to the bone layer, I'll hit Z, and we'll just turn that. And it looks pretty good. You actually, your foot can't turn much farther than this anyway. So actually what we can do is we'll go to hit B, hit this bone, and then go to bone constraints and hit angle constraints. And then we'll type in -10 and 10. So that way you can't rotate the foot very far anyway, because your foot wouldn't be able to do that. Bend all the way back. Maybe a little bit more. Let's actually go to bone constraints, click in here, and you can see if I use my scroll wheel, you can see the constraint line change. So maybe we'll just turn this. Let's go to 25. We'll type 25. I'll hit Z. That way you can point your toe down a little bit better. But like I said, you can always change this too. We can put constraints on the toe too. Don't want those to bend too far. Angle constraints. And for now, I'll just do 10 and 10. -10 and 10. And close. That way we don't get super crazy results when you're moving your feet. So I got that. And let's do the other leg. Let's go to the joint reference first. And let's go ahead and move the bone. We're gonna grab top bone, move that. We're gonna put it right into the, wait a minute. Did I lose one of my lines? I think I did. Hold on a sec. Go to joint reference. Oh, this line didn't get moved. So we gotta make sure we're crossing this point, just so we can get the dead center. And right there. And the top and bottom's good. So go to the bone layer, hit T. We'll center it right in that square, right where the cross section is, or the crosshairs. And then the knee will bend. Let's go right about here. Snap that into place. And let's go ahead and go to the joint reference. Hit G, hold Shift down, select the circle and the two crosshairs, or the two lines. Hit T. Oops. Make sure I got those again. Hit T so I can move it. I will center the crosshairs where the bones intersect or touch. I'll hold Option down again to make it a little bit bigger, but keep it a circle. And we'll go to the edge of the pants. And now we will go to the back upper leg. And let's go ahead and just move some of these points. Put this point here. This point here. curve this bottom point out like that, staying within the joint reference. And then the lower leg, grab this point, move it up here. This one will move. It doesn't have to be at the top of the joint reference. Make sure it's inside though. And hit T, grab this point, move that there. I'm gonna go back to the top part again and just adjust his knees like that. And let's test it really quick. Go to the bone layer, hit Z, let's bend it. And let's make sure the back upper leg. Let's take the back upper leg and place it underneath. And hide the edges. We'll go to the lower part, lower leg, hide those edges. Maybe curve this out. Let me see here. Oh, let's go ahead and turn the edges on the upper leg. So upper leg, instead of hiding the edge, we'll reveal them. Make sure that's turned on because it's on the bottom. There we go. There we go. Now we've got this leg is rigged, but let's check. Let's see where his waist is right now. So that's a little high. So let's see. Let's do that same trick. We'll go into the timeline. I'll move this leg up like in a sitting position. And then I'm gonna go to the waist and kind of, let's see, move this up and let's go ahead and that looks okay. Actually, let's move this here. I'm gonna stay inside the joint reference and kind of make his waist kind of come out here to here. And then we'll go to the upper back upper leg, and let's adjust this here. So I'm gonna move these lines down and let's move a lot of these points like that. And then I'll go ahead and grab we'll do some more adjusting, but let's go ahead and grab those keyframes. Command X to cut them, go to 0, Command V to paste. So it reforms the leg. And oops, I'm hitting T. I'm gonna move some of these points again, kind of keeping them in the joint reference circle-ish. And let's test it again. Hit Z. And that looks a lot better. It's not perfect, but you know, we can adjust the artwork in the crotch region and yeah, definitely move this line and whatnot. Let's go back. Let's actually do that. We're in the waist. And we'll just kind of put a crotch line right there. Maybe the back upper leg. Wait, no, the front upper leg. We can move this line down some. All right, now hit Z. I'm just testing these out real quick. Looking good. This arm needs to be fixed, so we'll go do that next. Let's turn the body off. So I'll turn the body off, and we'll just hide the neck and the head and all that stuff. And go to the joint reference, hit G. I know this video is terribly long, and if you're watching it all the way to this point, congratulations. But I always like to keep my videos running in real time without any edits, or very few edits, just so you guys can really understand how long it takes to do stuff. I'll put that right about there. Let's go ahead and go to the bone layer, hit T, and grab the end of this bone, grab that point and kind of make sure it hits that crosshair in the center. Grab this one and it'll snap right there. And let's go ahead and put this here. And then go to the back lower arm. We'll adjust the artwork. Let's hit T and grab these points. I'll move one point here. Select this one and just delete it because we only need 3, you know, to make a semicircle. Put one over here. Curve this out. Bring it down a little bit because we're going to select the back. Oh, I got these mislabeled. Or no, I don't. Back upper arm. That's right. Move this. Oops. Hit T. Move this point here. Move this point right here. And bring this one all the way down to the bottom. Hit C to curve it out, and we'll fit the curve of our joint reference like that. Go to the bone reference, hit Z so we can test it. It's looking pretty good. We can actually bring that, let's see, back lower arm. Let's go ahead and bring this down some more. And test it again. And it's pretty good. Let's keep fiddling with it. Back lower arm. I'm gonna get rid of a couple of points here. Just curve the arm out a little bit. And there we go. Okay. And looks pretty good. Not bad. Let's turn the head back on and all that stuff. And oh, actually, you know what we're gonna do too? So when we bend the character over, he looks disconnected from his pants, which is not good. So let's go ahead and do one more thing. Let's go to the body, which is right here, and we're gonna select the waist bone. So I'll hit B, select the waist bone, and then I'll hit G, and I'm just gonna grab the points on the bottom of his shirt, holding shift down like that, and then I'm gonna bind those points to the waist. So now if I bend the character, his shirt's stuck. It doesn't stretch right, but at least we can put a smart bone action here so to deform the shirt correctly when we're moving our character. And let's see, the neck. Okay, see, when I move his neck, the collar doesn't move, so let's go ahead and do the same kind of thing with that. So we'll go to the body again, and we're just gonna grab, let's do his collar. Let's just do most of his neck, like that, too. And hit B, and bind that and see how that works. So I hit Z. Nope, that's not good. Something else was moving too. Oh, it still has the bottom of his shirt connected now. So let's do a Command Z, undo, undo. Let's make sure. Okay, yeah. So we got that. Let's try that again. Go to the body, hit B. I'm gonna click on the canvas so it deselects the bottom of the shirt. And now I'm gonna select that neck bone. And let's just grab these points on the shirt next to the neck. And bind those and see how that works. No, we don't want to grab the shirt one, so undo, undo. And let's try that again. Hit B, select the neck bone. Oh wait, make sure we're on the body. Select that bone. And I hit G, and then I'm just gonna grab just these points on the collar. And if you select too many, or a point you don't want, hold Option down and drag over it and it'll unselect it. And then we'll bind those. It's a little bit better. Oh, something's wonky here. I'm gonna have to redo the neck, but let's see. Let's kind of test the character for a little bit. Let's turn the joint reference off. I'm gonna just make a walk cycle, my quick and dirty walk cycles that I do. I'll hit Z and I'll put one leg back. Let's go to the bones. One leg forward. And that. And then I'll do a Command A, Command F. And that freezes all the bones and makes keyframes for them. Do the same thing on 24. Command A, Command F. Go to 12, hit Z. Move the legs in the opposite direction and the arms. Maybe move the torso just a little bit. And then do a Command A, Command F. Go to frame 6. And the front leg is going forward. So on frame 6, we'll grab that, bend the leg, and I bend the front arm as well a little bit. Command A, Command F. Go to 18, do the opposite, grab the back leg, bend it, bend the arm a little bit. Command A, Command F. And then I'm going to grab the 24 keyframe, or keyframes on the the 24th keyframes, and then I'll right click, select cycle, and we're gonna go to relative to playback. We'll go to 22. We can select these first keyframes, except the 24th ones, and right click and say linear, so it just has an even pace. Then I'll go to frame 1, and I'm just going to add a little bounce. So I'll grab the transform layer tool, click on the character, go to frame 6, hold shift down, move him down horizontally just a little bit. And at the bottom you can see it made 2 keyframes for the up and down position. I'll select those 2, Command C to copy, go to frame 12, paste, Command V, move this frame over 1, go to 24, Command V to paste again, so we get that up one, and we'll go ahead and select and delete the last one. We'll right click on this last keyframe, cycle, again, relative to playback 23 or 22, select the first keyframes and select linear. And now we have a little walk cycle for the guy. And that's it for at least for this video. I know it's extremely long, but I wanted to show you how I use joint references and kind of rig characters that don't have you know, perfect joints yet. So That's it. I hope you guys enjoyed. If you have any comments or questions, just leave them down below. If you have any ideas for any tutorials that you'd like to see, let me know as well. Thanks for watching.